Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining today. My name is Jessica Jennings. I serve as Legislative Director for Transportation at the National Association of Counties. So if you're in the transportation infrastructure industry, then you're well aware of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. It's actually 3 months since President Biden signed that into law. That was on November 21st, or I'm sorry, November 15th, 2021. And I want to talk about really the kind of meat of the law today, and that being the funding opportunities, and especially specifically those that are accessible by county governments. NACo has a new resource, this beautiful booklet, and it breaks down federal funding opportunities within the bipartisan infrastructure law that counties can access. So this resource is very specific to counties, county governments, local public agencies, etc. So I do have some slides, so I'm going to share my screen very quickly. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so this is our new web page. So I would encourage you, and I know Alana or I will put it into the chat, but I would encourage you to scan the QR code that will take you to this page that I'm going to break down for you over the coming slides. So let's see. Basically, this table has all the information really that counties should need to be aware of the funding opportunities that are coming and to be aware of the funding opportunities that are available now. And we will specifically cover those in just a moment. This table has information ranging from the agency and then the sub-agency that administers the program, funding levels, special eligibility requirements. So some programs are accessible by counties, but not all counties. For example, must be outside of an urbanized area with a 200,000 or above population, little niche things like that. Those are in this table. We also have what type of funding. The majority of funding opportunities for counties are going to be those competitive opportunities that are in this bill. And speaking of the competitive opportunities, many of them were increased by the FY22 appropriations bill. So I will actually go back to that in just a second, but I did want to just demonstrate the appropriations of impact of the BIL on US DOT appropriations, just to show you really how much money is available for counties out there right now through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law that's now been complemented with FY22 appropriations. So I've highlighted there the three biggest pots of money that are in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And you'll see that the second largest pot is Division J and the US DOT appropriations within that division. And then just to go back, I'll show you, to go forward. I will show you the impact. I chose 4 programs. I tried to highlight almost all the sub-agencies and got 4 here. So basically, when you look at this, so RAISE grants, you may know them as build grants or Tiger grants. There's a current notice of opportunity, a current notice of funding opportunity open right now through April 14th. So the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law made available $1.5 billion for RAISE grants in FY22. Now that the FY22 appropriations bill has been enacted or will be signed this afternoon by President Biden, there's an additional $775 million, and that brings it to $2.3 billion for RAISE grants. If you're familiar with these, you know that they're very, very flexible, and basically how US DOT is handling this additional money is just adding it to the open notice. So they won't be issuing a second notice for FY22. They'll simply be able to fund more applications through RAISE grants than they have been able to in the past. This program is dramatically oversubscribed to, as many of you probably know, but it is up about 130% from what it was appropriated at in FY21. So a lot of new resources. You can see similar effects on some other programs. AIP, almost $7 billion this year. Capital investment grants, 3.31, and CRISI grants, which are those consolidated rail infrastructure safety improvements, up 334%. The federal railroad budget increased about, I think, 480% with the FY22 appropriations and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So a lot of new funding opportunities. available there. So I show you this to tell you, just how much money is out there available to counties and to give you a tool so that you can be ready for the funding. I go back to my open notices here. So these are the current open notices of funding from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. You'll see there's 6 there. 5 of the 6 are through USDOT. I mentioned the RAISE grants, and it actually says local and regional project assistance. That was the technical name in the bill, but those are RAISE grants. And we actually need to increase the FY22 amount as of today that's available for those because, like I mentioned, the appropriations bill. So, our intention with releasing this new funding table, which I hope you will all check out, this is just a very small glimpse of it. Is so that you can look in this table, you can decide what best suits your needs. You can be prepared for the funding when it comes. You can already start to think about, how you would seek these funds, et cetera. And all that information is in the table. So it's really intended as a one-stop shop for county governments who want to know what resources in the infrastructure law are available to counties. We were very specific on what we included. So if it's just a state that's eligible, you're not going to find that program in this resource, with some exceptions where the only way a rural area gets funded is by those funds initially going to the state, et cetera. But it's to demonstrate how the funding eventually does flow down to even those communities. So, we hope you'll check it out. And in addition to this, we also have our online analysis and booklet of our longer narrative. So this is, you can find them all here. Sorry that my slides are a little out of order. If you scan the one on the left, you'll get our long comprehensive analysis of the BIL, and scan the one on the right, and that's going to take you to our funding matrix page. These are static documents, obviously, that I'm holding, and some of our members do have them. But, we really encourage you to check back on that web page, because that is where we are displaying the open notices. As soon as the deadline hits, they fall off automatically. So we intend the information to always be up to date and make it as straightforward as possible, because we know how complex some of these application processes and even kind of knowing what's out there and what's available can be difficult for county government. So we hope that this helps quite a bit. Like I said, 3 months in today, and the funding for transportation programs and many other federal agency programs, including DOE. I know the Weatherization Assistance Program was significantly plussed up by the BIL, which I think is $3.5 billion over 5 years. And then FY22 appropriations also added to that. So there's even more, like I said, opportunities for counties out there. And we hope that this tool will help you see, which ones would be the most useful to you, and hopefully also give you some additional information on, are you eligible and how to access the funding. You'll find on the table in many places it says apply directly. DOT is a very large source of funding in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. Many of those say apply directly to DOT. And just a note that to do so, we need DOT to open a notice of funding. So many say that, but you won't be able to do that until USDOT does make that funding available. But also really important to note on the timing, because the appropriations bill is being enacted today, many new notices of funding are going to be rolled out in the months to come. So many new programs within the infrastructure law are funded by the appropriations process. So we expect to see the new programs starting to roll out opportunities for us to apply, and then some of those existing programs that still need appropriations to fund the program also opening up for applications. So, with that, I know this is super short. I don't want to take much of your time. I really just wanted to kind of be short and sweet, let you know that this funding table is out there. Our members that have used it so far have found it extremely helpful, and we're really excited about that. So we hope that we can kind of get it out far and wide to folks that can use it. So I'm happy to take any questions you might have about the table. Like I said, please keep in mind, there's programs there that there are programs missing, and those would be the ones that counties are not accessible, don't have access to. But if you find something you think is missing, I would love the feedback. So I'm happy to take any questions. It looks like we have one. Yeah, and I think I just answered that, Brandy. It does not outline all the opportunities, so really only those for counties. A great example of what's missing would be the formula funding through USDOT that goes straight to states. We do receive some sub-allocations from that, but we're also still awaiting some funding tables to understand exactly what those will look like for our MPOs. Yes, this presentation is being recorded. We'll also have the slides available. And again, we'll just encourage you to check out the website. The table does include some opportunities that MPOs are eligible for, and it should specify in there that an MPO would be eligible, but this resource is really geared towards counties. So if it's just an MPO, there may be some that are not in there, Gabrielle, to answer your question. And I'm happy to take any other questions. Ron, any intel on the funding coming? So we do have, now that the appropriations bill is out, we know that many new NOFOs are going to be released. And I would actually point you to the White House guidebook for state and local governments. They actually have a really helpful blurb at the bottom of the sheets about the programs that say next milestone. And while those next milestone, the information can be limited to something like it's coming out in the third quarter. That's more information, than we have. So we have to really rely on, the administration and federal agencies as far as timing goes. But I have spoken with DOT, and I know that over the next 2 months, many new opportunities are going to become available. Funding opportunity numbers, you can click directly from our website to take you to the notice of funding, where you will find all that good stuff, Gabrielle, to answer your question. We have had many webinars on ARPA. I would encourage you to check out our website. Alana, I don't know if you can put that in the chat, but we've had countless. I couldn't even give you a number on how many ARPA webinars we've had. So we have many resources on that. If there's any other questions about, I do see one more question. The last CR had no money for these programs. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Ron. The CR, you're right, didn't fund the programs, but the appropriations bill proper, which will be signed by the president today, will. And the no new starts clause that was preventing USD from standing up new programs is also alleviated by the enactment of FY22 appropriations. So DOT will be able to move ahead. So if there's any other questions, I will put my email in the chat, and you can feel free to follow up with me. Thanks. I'll give you back probably like 40 minutes of your time. But we hope that you find this helpful. Carol, any advice for smaller counties regarding the mechanics of applying? There are a lot of new technical assistance support and other capacity building resources, et cetera, in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. So I would be happy to talk with you more offline if you want to shoot me an email. I did, like I said, I think no, I did not send that to everyone. Let me try this again. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I'd love to talk with you more because we're dealing with, the many obstacles small and rural counties face when trying to apply for federal funding. So I'd be happy to talk with you more about that. But if there's nothing else on the funding table, again, hope you'll check it out. If you see anything that, you think something's missing or you have further questions about, please feel free to shoot us an email. We want the information to be the most useful possible. And we will continue updating the website with the new notices of funding. So please check back there. We try to get those up within 1 or 2 days as they are announced. So we hope this is a good resource for you, and hopefully it's helpful in navigating the many funding opportunities that are in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And obviously those range far beyond transportation, and many other agency programs were increased even further beyond the infrastructure law by the appropriations. So thanks so much. Hope this has been helpful, and I will talk with you soon.